My dad's name is Bill Page. For those of you who knew him as Anna's dad. He's also Heidi's dad, and he's Will's grandpa, and Ben's grandpa, and Mitch's grandpa, and he is also the great-grandfather to Ben. Ben is the newest addition to our family, and he was named after his uncle who died 2017 of esophageal cancer. So, he was 86 years old when he died on Saturday morning, and that's a lot of years. It stretched from the end of the Depression to the Great Recession and beyond. He is a native Tennessean. My father was born in Henry County, but raised on a farm in St. Louis. He grew up not knowing anyone who had a college education other than his teachers. But he was good with the football and got a scholarship with Coach Nalen at UT. But before too long, he was drafted, and I think we all know what that means. He didn't go to Korea. In fact, they sent him to Colorado Springs. But he still learned a lot. He was in the Army JAG Corps, and that's where he saw the difference, the difference between the haves and the have-nots. When he got out of the Army, he went back to college and finished with a true understanding and determination that education makes a difference. At his first job after he graduated from SEMO, he met my mother. He knew she was the one, but it took my mother a little while longer to figure that out, to catch on. He worked his way into her heart by taking her water skiing and on his boat. But the only way he could get her off the skis was to turn off the boat and let her sink. They eventually married. I was first, and my sister Heidi was second. So Dad brought us to Nashville from St. Louis in the late 60s. And pausing for my moments, the Swinneys over here, they were the first people we ever knew in Nashville before we even got to Nashville, and they're a super important part of our lives. Please go over and say hi to Frank and Marilyn and Tina and the rest of the clan. So Dad brought us to St. Louis in the late 60s. After he had success with a federal program for innovating teaching. He was recruited by MNPS to operate a special school, and eventually he started an educational consulting business dedicating to improving education. He loved teaching, and he loved teaching and teachers and sharing his educational philosophy. His life work was public education. Teaching, learning, growing, sharing, and trying new things. That was our father. Many of you have seen the enormous garden he created at our house. It took a huge chunk of our backyard. I mean, really huge. Eventually, I had to set boundaries. Half of the yard is mine. This half of the yard is yours. Because he always thought that squash would look really great by the pool. But he grew everything. Giant butternut squash, many tomato varieties, except the ones I like. Many kinds of peppers, eggplants, I'm not kidding, everything. He was always looking for new varieties, and he read seed catalogs like an addict because he thought it was important to try new things. He liked to learn and watch grow. He also loved watching his grandsons grow. When Will was 4, he declared he was going to be a marine biologist. Dad bought 2 tickets to New England, and he took them whale watching and ate crab and showed Will the ocean. Dad just thought they needed to go for the life experience. He was always, he always thought there was a better way to do things. If he could design it, it would be better. But
The apple doesn't fall too far from the
You would be surprised what he could do with Gorilla Tape and a ruler.
Flowers.
He had strong opinions, there was no doubt about that. He always told me, you should own your own business. It would give you freedom. You can set your own hours. You can go on. You can be your own boss. But as a florist, that has not been my experience. And one day I said to him, you lied to me. None of this is true. And he said, well, I never told you to go into retail. True that. And boy, was he strong-willed. He was so madly crazy in love with my mother that when she died more than 25 years ago, we thought we would lose him soon after. But we were wrong. He had a lot more years in him. He had more to do. He also loved being a grandfather and needed those years to get to know Heidi's sons, Will, Ben, and Mitch. He also needed to be here to vote for Barack Obama in 2008. Although Heidi and I were Hillary supporters, and to see how far this country had come in his lifetime. In St. Louis, our dad was a social activist before the word was invented. He also needed to be here to see his first great-grandchild, Ben, born in 2018. And of course, he had to grow more things in that ridiculously large garden. We had him longer than I thought we would, but I can't say I was ready to lose him, that any of us were. He was a kind man, a fine father, a grandfather, an educator, a veteran, a committed citizen of this country. I think I can speak for Heidi as well when I say it was a privilege to be his daughter. Thank you for being here and remembering him. There are seeds. Plant something, watch it grow. Share the love.
To Bill.
To Bill.